Well, one thing on the fixed interest, one example on the fixed interest rate was actually the euro case. As I said, when you don't have fixed exchange rate, the main problem is it creates risk between for the interaction between countries, and that risk basically may make international interactions like foreign investment flows less frequent. I mean, by decrease its frequency, and actually the euro was kind of an answer to this problem. In a way, I mean, since all currency in all European countries, I mean not all, but the ones that are joining to euro is euro, basically the revenue you got from the country and the investment you make, the money with which you make investments as a German and the money you got from Greece will remain the same. Of course, not having their own money removes all possibility. I mean, in reality, actually, you might restrict to some extent the financial flows, which might give you some possibility to do financial policies. But in case of countries with euro as their currency, possibility of financial policies is completely removed. The financial system is completely determined by the EU Central Bank. Basically, the main financial tools are applied by that bank. And Union has actually, for a long time, tried to create this monetary stability and remove these uncertainties. And actually, even before euro, they had fixed the currencies of each country to each other, and basically, only when it becomes impossible for the countries to continue these fixed regimes, they were changing the ratios of their currency and other currencies in European Union. So European Union, the currencies for a time were mostly moving together up and down, basically. So if you want to fix exchange rate, well, the ideal thing is, you have an equilibrium point, and but this equilibrium point might be going up and down, and if basically continuously your equilibrium point goes first up and then down, the fixed price, which might be R1, that would mean that when equilibrium point is below the fixed price, in that case there will be excess supply. Well, excess supply means more people want to sell your currency, get rid of your currency, in other words, than the number of people who want to buy, get your currency. In that case, the state should be the one that is buying your currency. If I buy my currency, for example, if I'm Japan and buying yen, in return, I should sell to the people who sell yen to me, foreign currency, which might be dollar, basically. How can I find those dollars? I find those dollars because I have some dollar reserves, but that action is not cannot continue forever, because sooner or later I will run out of dollar reserves. But as I said, if my demand is continuously moving up and down, there will be a time where my demand will move up. So my equilibrium point will be above the fixed price. And when that's the case, in that case, there will be excess demand for my currency. So more people want to buy my currency compared with the people who want to sell my currency, get rid of it. So the difference will be sold by me. I sell my currency yen, and in return buy foreign currency dollar, which I put into my reserves. So what if the fixed price is continuously above the equilibrium point? Well, that's unsustainable, as we have told before, because I need to continuously find a source of foreign currency, which I don't have. So I try to meet the excess supply with foreign currency I have in my reserves, but sooner or later these reserves will be depleted. But I can very well have my fixed price below the equilibrium point. In that case, I will need to continuously sell my currency, which is, let's say, yen, and get in return dollar actually. And since I can continuously print yuan, I can print yuan again and again and again, and get my currency available and sell that currency and get dollar and put it into reserve. And theoretically, this can continue forever, basically. Now, the policy I have just described is actually the policy China is following, according to some views. It's called Chinese exchange rate policy, and China is keeping its exchange rate below the equilibrium rate. This keeps, of course, from the Chinese perspective, when people earn money in China, that won't make their goods, the price of the goods, the wages, not that different, basically. But for the rest of the world, Chinese goods will be cost less, since the money they need to, Chinese money, with which those costs are calculated, is less worthy. So world will buy more of those Chinese goods, and meanwhile in China, the foreign goods will become more valuable, more expensive, since the value of the other currencies will become higher, and Chinese people will import less and buy more their locally produced goods, and as a result, China will have a surplus, basically. And this surplus can be used to buy foreign assets, including building up dollar reserves, basically. And this exchange policy is sometimes because of this exchange policy, China is sometimes accused of being unfair in trade, basically. Although, as far as I know, there is no law that is forbidding you to reduce the value of your currency below its natural value, or its value at the equilibrium point, basically. Well, can US retaliate? It can't, because in order to do that, it should decrease the value of its currency, and China might retaliate to decrease its value of currency even further down compared with dollar, and this might be a turn off a war of getting your currency to the lowest possible value. But US cannot do that, because US is a global currency, and its stability helps it as a global currency. And when US dollar becomes less stable, people can easily look for a new world currency. And when they look, they at least see one alternative. They will at least see one alternative, which is euro. That's why USA cannot easily retaliate to China. And now, actually, this is the end of the main lecture part. And now we can start looking to the questions. Assume South Korea has bought McDonald's, so all profit of McDonald's earned in USA will flow to South Korea. How would this affect current account of USA and South Korea? As early as this profit starts to flow, initially when this purchase has happened, the financial account of the US will become positive, since money South Korea pays to buy that shop will come to USA, and financial account of Korea will become negative. But after the profit starts to flow, in that case, current account of USA will be negative. I mean, there will be some negative flow will happen from USA to South Korea, and current account of Korea will become positive because of the factor payments, basically. Factor payments, factor income, basically. Okay. Assume Italy was importing olive oil in 2001. After 2010, it started to export olive oil. What kind of a factor might have created this change? The demand of olive oil in Italy might have decreased. Demand of of olive oil in Italy, supply of olive oil in Italy might have increased. Alternatively, world price of olive oil might have basically fallen down, risen up, basically. So initially the price was down, so demand has increased, so that equilibrium price have come below the above the below the world price. Initially we were here at 3, let's say, or supply might increase, so that it will bring the demand might have decreased like this, and bring the equilibrium point below the world price. Supply might have increased and bring again the equilibrium point below the world price. Alternatively, world price itself might have risen up, and when world price risen up, in that case, I mean and get above the equilibrium point. In that case, quantity supply will be higher than quantity demand, and the difference will be exported. Assume global interest rate is higher than the natural interest rate in Greece. Will Greece run a current account deficit or surplus? If it is higher, in that case, assuming there is no risk premium, there will be an excess supply of funds, I believe, in Greece, which means the flows in Greece will flow to foreign countries, which means, I mean, if financial flows are financial assets, the Greek investors are buying assets of foreign countries, so financial account of Greece will become negative. This money is getting out, not in. Assume USA has a current account surplus in 1950 and it has a current account deficit in 2000. Write one possible factor that might have created this change: increase in imports, for example, or decrease in factor income coming from or increase in factor income that is coming from USA and going to other countries might also be a factor, for example. So you can think about different factors, and you can write also specific factors, like, for example, production base of United States has gone to China, so basically the imports from countries like China and Mexico, this industrialized products, might have risen. That might be your answer, basically. So if you want, you can be more detailed, but if you want, you can also answer the question using basic definitions. Write one advantages of fixed exchange rate proposed by economists. Basically, it is decreasing the uncertainty of investors or exporters, importers, basically foreign traders and foreign capitalists or investors, basically. How can a country fix its exchange rate? So if exchange rate is the equilibrium exchange rate is below the price at which you want to fix, then you have excess supply of that currency, which means the country should buy this, the government should buy this excess supply and sell in return the foreign currency. And if your equilibrium exchange rate is above the fixed price, in that case you have excess demand, which means you need to supply that currency. So you basically sell that currency and buy in return foreign currency, like dollar, for example. So see you in the next part of this lecture.